Hello there, I'm Funt, the guy who hides microphones and cameras to catch people in the act of being themselves. This film for the Saturday Evening Post is the second step of a project already started. Perhaps you saw the film we made in Morristown, New Jersey, where we cut off subscribers' copies and recorded their candid expressions about the Post. Well, you know, each week a rather remarkable thing happens in America. About 1.25 million people stop by the newsstands and buy a copy of the Post. And so it was natural that our next step should be the newsstands of America. The Post wanted to find out how their readers make the Post a great advertising medium. Once again, their instruction to us was simply, take your candid camera out where you find people and bring us back their story on film. We'd like to see why people buy the Post at the newsstands and how. This film will take you to the four corners of the country. Our first stop is the college town of Ithaca, New York. Our spot is Mayor's Smoke Shop on downtown State Street, a good spot for students and practically everyone in town. The shop is owned by Ralph Smith, who is also mayor of Ithaca. He was kind enough to turn over his store and his customers to us and hurried over to City Hall. The Post was worried that I might be recognized, so I added a slight disguise. Now, readers like to talk about the Post, and to help them get started, well, you'll get the plot when you meet our first group of readers. Yeah, we sold a kid 40 copies of the Hazel cartoon alone.
Why?
He needed the cartoon, I don't know.
Well, the only trouble is that looks just like the one I've got at the office. That's why I need a new one.
Oh, I see.
All the pages in it.
No, well, I just thought I could give you a bargain.
Oh, I see. Well, thanks very much. Can I pay for this one?
Yes,
All right.
You buy the thing always at the newsstand?
I usually do.
You recall?
Then I'm sure it's my very own.
Do you recall, say on an average, how long you spend with a single copy? Just roughly.
Depends on whether I read it all the way through. Sometimes half an hour or an hour at least.
Well, do you read articles or stories?
Articles, yeah.
Mostly articles?
Well, yes. I always go through the table of contents to
Right.
decide what I'm going to read. And if there's something I can't resist, I have to read it right then.
But not continuing stories or sometimes?
Not continuing stories.
I mean,
Wait till next week.
And do you set it down in the course of a single copy and you come back to it, or do you read it continuously?
I come back to it.
You do come back.
Mm-hmm. It lasts me about a week.
About a week?
If I make it last.
Do you pass it on to anyone after you're finished?
Well, my husband reads it, and sometimes friends, if they happen to be around. My babysitters read it.
No, you're not fooling me, are you?
No.
Really?
No, it's there. We always have it out so that someone can read
I want to tell you a secret. We are not connected with this store. We've just been photographing you and recording your voice. Now, wait, let me explain it to you before you get angry. Have you ever heard of the Candid Camera?
Oh, I have been fooled.
There's a young fella came in here this morning and bought some Posts, but he just cut out the Hazel cartoon in the back. And we sold them to him for a nickel each. So if you want a Post without the Hazel cartoon, you can get it for a dime.
Yeah, there's a story on the back.
Huh? I don't hear you.
There's a story on the back that I'm particularly interested in.
Ah, on the back of the Hazel cartoon.
This,
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Are these the things that caught your eye, or you just happen to?
Oh, I mean, it's the type I like.
Oh, the type of article you like.
This, definitely.
Anything that has to do with current events or special features or so.
This I like particularly. That's a
The
terrific
face of America.
Very good. Excellent.
And you always buy it at the newsstand?
Yes, because I move around so much.
Oh.
Because I'm in Albany and I'm here and I'm working someplace else.
But why the Post?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, we've always had it, and it has good stories.
You, as a 13-year-old, what is all grown-up stuff in there?
Yeah, I know.
But you still get something to read in it?
Guess I don't know. I just look through it.
See the comics?
Yeah.
Hazel?
Yeah.
Oh, it's all right. You're not kidding me now, are
No,
you?
I'm not kidding you.
See, I want to tell you a secret. Come real close. Well, turn this way, because it's a surprise.
All right.
You and me are in the movies now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Movies.
See this here? That's a microphone.
Oh, I see.
Look over my shoulder. Don't make a fuss about it, though. See behind that glass? See a lens of a camera?
Mm-hmm.
They're taking your picture.
Oh, my God.
In order to get a true national reaction in our candid interviews, we packed up our equipment and traveled 3,000 miles to the opposite end of the country. In case you're lost, this is Los Angeles, Ralph's Supermarket, where we went looking for women readers of the Post. And supermarkets sell more Posts than any other general weekly. Here's our camera. Let's watch. When you read it,
No,
do you look for...
I first look at ads.
You first look at the ads.
Definitely. I look through the ads, and then I go through and read the article. It's just a
Now, wait a second. That's
I'm very ad
terrific.
conscious, though.
But the ads first?
I always, now this ad appeals to me. Food ads, home ads, always appeal to me.
About how long do you think you might spend with a copy of the Post? There's a rough guess.
Well, I read it mostly at night when I go to bed, and it'll last me, 3, 4 evenings.
3 or 4 evenings. And maybe you'll thumb through it in the course of your entire reading 2, 3 times, or?
Oh, yes, sometimes
Or more?
More than that, because I pick up all these items and stories that I haven't read before. I'm very ad conscious.
Do you like it?
I love it. It's about the nicest magazine they have, I think.
Pardon me, ma'am?
It's about the nicest magazine that's on the market, I think. It covers everything.
The Post?
The Post,
You sure now?
sure, it doesn't give you any household hints or recipes or anything like that, but
But why
I
do
want
you
those.
why do
I
you
have
think it's the best?
Because it has more interesting articles. More interesting everything.
More interesting everything. Your husband thinks so too?
Yes, he does. He wants the Post if he doesn't have anything else.
Now, do you read?
I didn't read it before because before that I was married, because my mother didn't have it, and I just didn't get accustomed to it, and I was busy, and I just didn't get accustomed to reading that.
Do you
Post.
look for some special things in it?
I like the articles in it,
Articles.
and then I read some of the stories. My husband reads the continued stories, and I read some of the continued stories.
Now, for
He
example-
reads almost every one of the continued stories, unless it's some desperate love story, and then he says that he's not interested in that.
Tell me, ma'am, if you will, about how long would you say you read with a single issue? About?
Oh, I said it comes in the middle of the morning. I look through it sometimes, and then I say if he doesn't get it first that night, why then I'll read it. I'll read it for an hour or so, but we don't even get it out of the living room maybe for a couple of 3 weeks, and we go back and read them until. And right now I have 3 years stacked up out in the back little room where we have like a lot of books.
3 years? 3 years of Post magazine?
2 years and a half, and part of the third we are.
But what I mean is...
Every issue. I went through them not long ago and put them in order, and then they're stacked out there with a string tied around to give them to somebody that'll come along and take them away. And then I go out there and look at them, and I don't want to give them away because I'd like to look at them, and I dig them out and read some more. And I said, well, I got several years reading here. My husband says, yes, but you know you're not going to read them because you'll get more all the time. You know you haven't had time to read all those Posts, so give them away.
Well, you see how difficult it is to get some people to talk about the Post. And you know, after interviewing people for over 20 years, I should know that the time to stop asking questions is when you're ahead. Well, this next gentleman has just spent 5 minutes raving about the Post, how it's the best magazine in the country. And then, instead of stopping, I asked him one more question. You listen.
Well, this is the way we got all of our...
Well, what magazine do you like better than the Post?
None?
None.
No, this is just as good as a magazine as any of them.
I mean, if you had one magazine to take with you to the motel at night when you're traveling or something like that, what would be your choice?
Oh, I don't know. Reader's Digest, I expect.
We chose a resort area in Long Island as our next location, and we concealed our camera in a small luncheonette in a railroad station. And there we ran into one of those wonderful accidents that only happen in real life. Who should walk in front of our camera but a young man who had himself been a part of a magazine study conducted at his college. You'll hear his interesting findings as well as a few views of other Long Islanders.
I did a project in college, a sociology project, and we used various magazines to discover the effect of Sputnik on the American public. And it was ascertained by our group that Saturday Evening Post pretty well captured, we thought at any rate, the feeling of the American people at large. You see, we did a dual study. We tested American people in a small community and at the same time magazines. And that's when I first...
I think they'd be very interested in what the project was. The effect of Sputnik on
yeah,
the
we
people?
want on the psychological and sociological effect of Sputnik, of the idea of the Russians sending up a satellite.
Well, how would the magazines enter into that? You mean whatever stories they
Well,
kept?
we wanted to see actually what magazines captured the flavor of the public. In other words, could you pick up a magazine and find out what someone in the Midwest was thinking
So, I understand.
here in the East?
Well, then Sputnik was just one...
well, yes, we had to
one
make it
type
narrow.
of
We only
thing.
had 1 year to work on this. Yes.
I see. And then what'd you do, cover all the magazines?
No, we did about 5 or 6 different magazines. But we had a group of people.
And the Post came out...
It was our group thought so.
Your particular group found that the Post was what? That's what I didn't understand.
We found that on this one particular topic, that it was given to people the information. In other words, answers we were getting from them were the same answers that were in the Post. You see, it was written down.
But it suggests a terrific influence among the readers of the things they read there? Or?
Well, I don't know who you're taking the survey for, but that would be for you to decide. We just could state what we found.
Is there any particular article that you ever remember reading in the thing?
Any particular
Article that stays with you as something that you read recently or that you've ever discussed with anybody that you know or anything of late that you recall?
Well, they had that school teacher down south, that white school teacher that taught Negro College.
Right.
Down there on their attitude towards white people and the students.
Right.
Which was very...
Now, was that something that you happen to recall ever discussing with anybody?
Well, I've discussed it with people who were from the South.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean.
I've discussed it with people who were in big executives that have been stationed in the South, I mean, as corporation men, who have feelings towards this segregation. I've discussed it with them on an intelligent level. For my own enjoyment, I think the covers... first of all, what I think is really, what strikes you is the covers.
The covers, yeah. Almost everybody...
they're different. I mean, it's not like the run-of-the-mill magazine like Look or Life, I mean, where they have pictures up front. These are all ideas with some thought behind it.
Yeah.
It's very humorous.
Uh-huh.
And the contents of the Post is, it's very diversified. It's humorous, it hits you home, it's something that would be near to you, or it's got everything in it.
Now, about how long do you spend with a copy of the Post, roughly?
Well, I
We're
refer
doing
to
it.
it back and forth all the time. I enjoy it tremendously. I really do. I love every part of it. I love the stories, the serial stories. I love the articles. As a matter of fact, the reason I took this one last night, I was pointing this out to my daughter. I said, "Isn't that a cute copy?" And she said, "Yes." I said, "But did you read what the cover said?" She said, "No." I said, "You silly thing," and then I made her read.
So, in other words, you talk about it to the kid?
Yes.
Does she read it once in a while?
Yeah, sure.
Listen, no, wait, here's one. Now, for example, are you conscious of the ads in it? Ever?
Sometimes, yes.
But
Yes.
about
Yes.
how long would you say you spend with a copy of one Post? About, roughly.
Sometimes I pick it up for 5 minutes. Sometimes I pick it up for an hour, depending upon the time I have and when I pick it up.
And you go
Before
back and
dinner,
forth?
Yes.
And do the other members of the family read it?
Yes, my children do, the girls.
The girls do too. Do you ever remember any particular thing in the Post that you talked about to anybody else?
Oh, sure, the stories, the, what you call it, the comic strips, the articles, certainly, everything.
Well, I mean, what...
In fact, we have found certain things that we even refer back to. I mean, we always, certain comic stories, you know, that will come out.
Well, I mean,
Welch's, the judges' issues, the
oh,
historical things.
Listen, wait. One more thing now. But why would you have occasion to talk to other people about it?
Well, because other people read the Post, and we can discuss it because it's something that we both...
Ah. You see, I have a little surprise for you. Come over this way. You see why I'm pushing you all around backwards and forth? So we can get a very good picture of you.
Now I'd like you to follow me into the air terminal in St. Louis, Missouri. We wanted to get a little southern exposure on our film and study the reading habits of the people who are on the move today. Let's see what happens.
Would it be mostly...
Sometimes I'll read practically all the articles in the couples. Very seldom do I read the stories.
Mostly articles. And, for instance, are you conscious of whether you ever look at the ads?
Oh, I'll read all the ads.
You will read the ads?
Yeah, I always look at the ads. That's when I go through it first.
Uh-huh. And then you see it another time.
And the cartoons, of course. They're the best cartoons anyway.
Yeah. Tell me, sir, do you pass it on to anyone else in the family, or how does that work?
Yeah, we pass it to another household, yeah.
To another household, after you get it. But I mean, within your household, will other members of your family read it, or mostly you?
I'd say 3 adults.
3? A single copy will pass through your hands, and then 3 adults. That's remarkable. And so that it might be perhaps a total of 4 or 5 hours of reading in your home alone.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then somebody else normally gets it after you're done with it.
Yeah, we send it to another household.
That's terrific.
Yeah, we get this and Life and Newsweek.
Well, for instance, between this and the other magazines you mentioned, which would you think you spend the longest time per copy with? Say, compare this to Life.
Oh, this and Newsweek I spend the most time with.
You'd spend...
I don't read Life, I just look at it.
You buy the Post on the newsstands all the time? What?
No.
Just when you're traveling?
Yes.
And,
Our issue comes today at home, and I want to read my continued story.
I got you. Do you read mostly stories or articles?
I read every article and story in the magazine.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Well, now...
Including letters to the editor.
Well, now, how long will it take you to read through the book that way?
2 days.
2 days, on and off?
Yeah.
You look at the ads?
Yes.
And would you be thumbing through the book several times in a
First time I go from the back and I look at all the cartoons, and I get to the front and I look at all the illustrations, and then I read the table of contents, and I start with letters to the editor and read it through the other way.
Are you a teacher?
No, I'm not.
You sound so well-spoken.
I'm a housewife and a registered nurse.
Do you ever talk to people about stuff you've read in the Post? Do you ever?
Certainly.
You do?
Certainly.
Really?
Yeah.
Does anybody else in the family get it when you're finished?
Yes, my husband, I read it in the daytime because my husband reads it at night.
And you pass it on. Does he read it as avidly as that?
No.
No, he reads a little bit more.
He never reads stories.
Oh.
He only reads articles.
And 2 days, but that's over a period of time. So you might say 3 or 4 hours of reading, perhaps.
I read very rapidly.
Do you like it?
Oh, yes.
If you couldn't get
I
this...
wouldn't read it if I didn't like it.
Before summarizing the findings of this trip, I'd like to make this observation about the Post and its readers. I've had the privilege of interviewing and photographing over 1 million people. And I know that the easier people talk, the easier my job is. Well, getting people to talk about the Post is really a cinch. The subscribers and the newsstand buyers of the Post really get involved in this magazine, and they enjoy talking about it even to a total stranger like me. The Post calls its readers influentials. Well, I call them boosters. And I know that it takes very little prodding to get them to express their warm feelings about the Post. They seem to prove, to me at any rate, that what the Post says is true. The #1 magazine for reading is also the #1 magazine for selling. So now, let's bring back some of the people in this film for a brief curtain call.
Why do you think it's the best?
Because it has more interesting articles, more interesting everything.
It's very diversified. It's humorous. It hits you home. It's something that will be near to you, or it's got everything in it.
And it was ascertained by our group that Saturday Evening Post pretty well captured, we thought at any rate, the feeling of the American people at large.
First time I go from the back and I look at all the cartoons, and I get to the front and I look at all the illustrations, and then I read the table of contents, and I start with letters to the editor and read it through the other way.
I always look at the ad. That's when I go through it first.
I'm very ad conscious.
You buy the thing always at the newsstand?
I usually do.
You recall?
Then I'm sure it's my very own.